Celtic, I want to get your views on this. Celtic have got goals at the moment. I'm just looking at last season. Celtic, Kyogo missed 3 months at least of the season. 20,
minimum,
20 goals. Giakoumakis, kind of a bit part player for quite a long time before he came on the scene close to the end of the campaign. But he finished with 18 goals. He was joint top in the Premiership. Abada 16, Jota 13, Turnbull 10, Maida 9. That's 86 goals between 6 players from Celtic last season. And in the case of Giakoumakis, he certainly didn't play the full season. Kyogo, who missed such a big chunk. I mean, how many goals do you think Kyogo would have scored had he stayed fit?
Yeah, I think he would have been pushing 30. There's no doubt. All in, definitely pushing 30. A lot was made when he came in about fitness wise and the way that they want to play. And I think at that time, Celtic were so reliant on him that they needed to keep pushing him. They needed to keep him in that team because they never felt they had an able replacement. Obviously, Maeda came in January. Obviously, at that point, Kyogo was injured. Giakoumakis hadn't quite found his feet in a Celtic jersey at that moment, but there's no doubt he finished the season so strong. And the thing about it is, we've talked about it numerous times, you need to give players time to settle when they come to Glasgow. So whether it's Rangers or Celtic, it can take a little bit of time. Some players like Kyogo will just come and hit the ground running. It might just be in their makeup. It might also be down to the style and their teammates actually supplying them with opportunities. For other people, it takes a little bit of time. And for Giakoumakis, it just seemed to take that 4, 5, 6 months for maybe the penalty drop of what it actually was, size of the club's demands and expectations that are put on you every single week. And like you say, he finished with 18 goals. And those 8, how many of the goals were actually in the second half of the season? So he had a brilliant run towards, and Celtic needed that at that time, because Kyogo was still missing. He still wasn't fully up to speed. So they needed somebody to come in and replace those goals. And he turned out to be the man to do it.
And they're not always beautiful goals, but for a striker, I mean, you must know this. I mean, if they go in off your backside or your heel or your anything, shoulder, it doesn't matter, does it? As long as they go in. And he's a bit like that. He's a bit of a bull in a china shop at times, but he seems to have a knack of finding the back of the net. And of course, he showed that in the Netherlands the previous season when he got the best part of 30 goals.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we don't care. That ball crosses the line and it's hit any part of your anatomy. It's a goal. You don't care. It goes down on your record. And the thing about his earlier days, that wasn't quite going for him, but he was in the right positions, Rob. I think of the Old Firm game at Celtic Park, 3-0 Celtic. He had 3 unbelievable chances that night, and he probably should have scored at least a goal or 2 that night. It never cost his team, which is obviously the most important thing for him and Celtic, that they got the result that night. But for him, he was in the right positions all the time. And I think he won it. I think it was a save for a Jota shot. Alan McGregor made it, went away up in there. Then he came over the top of Goldson, a header. And he's there, like you say, like a bull in a china shop. He's aggressive, he's physical, strong. And he gets in there. Unfortunately, the header, he just placed it straight at Alan McGregor. And Alan McGregor made a wonderful save. But he was in the right place at the right time for all of those chances. He was just unfortunate on the night. Towards the end of the season, those types of chances were going for him. And he finished off the season in some really, really good form. And it begs the question, who does start for Celtic up front? Is it Kyogo, who I would think the majority of Celtic fans would go for? But I think there will be some, by the performances and his physicality, and because he brings something a little bit different, there'll be a few people who would maybe go for Giakoumakis.
And mixing it up might work for Celtic? Not going the same attacking trio all the time?
Well, that depends the form they're in, because I say if players are playing well and scoring goals like Jota had been playing, Abada had been playing, or whether it's been Forrest in the past with Kyogo through the middle, if they're playing and they're fit and they're fully fit and firing, then sometimes there's no need to mix up. You have got a squad there to be utilised for a reason. You need to give people game time that deserve game time. And Giakoumakis, off the back of the season he's had, Abada, Jota, Forrest, Mikey Johnson coming back fit, probably hoping to get a good season under his belt without injury free. There is a lot of firepower in that Celtic front line.